It's like we didn't miss a beat. Julia and I were still on with the conversations and challenging status quo. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back. It's January and it's the 11th. We are nearly at the halfway mark of January.
Right?
Already.
I just
How
took
did that happen?
I just took my Christmas stuff down yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I know
did.
the elves are going to come for you.
I did. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
1 year mine was up until February.
Mine too. So
and
I know.
I bravely challenged the elves and I turned on the lights every single night and I enjoyed it every single night.
Me too.
But no, anyway, sometimes your life just has to get back to normal. So this is a new normal. 2018. Welcome everyone. So school started back and we need to do some math. Not my strong suit, but you know what? This is math I can manage. Term 2 has 12 weeks. So if you take out the last 2 weeks, which for us is internal exams, and for other schools, mock exams for forms 4 and 5, that kind of thing, or reports and tutors, finishing up the term, you've really only got 10 weeks. Now, you've got about 4 hours for every CXC subject. So this math is all to do with CXCs and A-levels and CAPE. So you've got about 4 hours per subject over 10 weeks, 40 hours. You've got your end of term mocks and that kind of thing. Can't count those. We're talking now about contact teaching time to finish the syllabus and prepare for the exam. Easter, you can't count because you're doing past papers, you're doing catch up, you're doing whatever. And then we're looking at the English exam because I'm now teaching my Form 5s for CXC English. Starts on 8 and is on 8th of May. So you're looking at 3 weeks at 4 hours, so it's 12 hours. So you take those 40 and you add to the 12 and you've got 52 hours. 52 hours left. Now, by now, at Lockerbie, our syllabus is absolutely completed. So we can tick off step 1. So what are we going to do in those 52 hours? Step 2 is you've got to teach exam skills, which includes study skills, time management, how you are actually going to approach the exam, examination skills, the sequencing of how you are going to tackle each and every expectation of the CXC. Do the students understand the rubric or the marking scheme so that they can actually give the examiners what the examiners need to give them an actual mark, so that they can get the maximum marks that are afforded for every question? So exam skills are step 2. So right now at Lockerbie, that's what we're plugging in week 1 with 52 hours left. Step 3, really, really, really important, is editing those corrections. Things get so busy that kids forget to do their corrections. The most important thing they can do is those corrections. It doesn't matter what they get right at this stage. What matters is what they get wrong. Because if they don't correct it and edit it and analyze what they got wrong and why, they're going to get it wrong again. So one of the things that we have is we have a huge mistake analysis sheet where students have the opportunity of going on and looking at each individual thing they've got wrong and saying, okay, is this a mistake of information, a mistake of understanding, a mistake of interpretation, a mistake of analysis, a mistake of deduction or inference, this kind of thing. And that's how we actually help them. So the editing is really important. Now, every teacher and every parent, right, has always said, remember the last however many minutes, 10 minutes of an exam, you're going to look over everything and you're going to check it and you're going to check it so that you don't make any mistakes. But let me tell you, unless you teach a child how to check and how to edit and how to do those corrections, believe me, those 10 minutes are wasted 10 minutes. So editing is a really important thing that students have to be taught. So we've got 52 weeks and we have got the most important steps in preparing kids for CXCs, A-levels and CAPE exams right now on our hands. 52 hours, everybody. So let's think of this in broader math terms of speed, distance and time. Now, everybody who's listening now in a car can understand speed, distance and time, whether you're a passenger or you're a driver. The slower you go to get a certain distance, the longer it's going to take. The quicker you go to travel that same distance, the shorter time it's going to take. So let's look at destination CXC. Let's take May 8th. That's my deadline. English A, May 8th. Speed, distance, and time. What impacts speed? Procrastination, for sure. Whether or not the school has completed the syllabus, for sure. The syllabus completion may not be going well. And it's not just private schools or lower secondary schools or whatever. Every school has issues with subject completion. And a lot of it is to do with a lot of factors they can't control. The kids getting their homework done, the SBAs being completed, the children writing up their labs, all this kind of thing. So there's definitely a lot of pressure on teachers to complete syllabus. A child or a couple of children who are sick for classes impacts syllabus completion, impacts everyone in that actual class. Procrastination is a big one. When children don't know how to start, they procrastinate. If they don't know how to study, it's a big problem. It impacts the speed with which you can complete the syllabus and prepare kids for the exam. If children are allowed to have the same social life that they had last term, this term, it's going to impact the speed with which they're ready for their actual exam. Distractions. No, sports and health are not distractions. They're absolutely essential. However, social life and all those screen being the operative word, the cell phone in bed with them at night so they're not getting full sleep, or they're coming home and they're on their phone texting wildly. As one student said to me, I can't get to my homework for 2 hours because I have about 400 WhatsApp messages I have to clear before I can get to my homework. And that child was 14. Where's the parent in all of this? Take the phones away. Put them in a basket as soon as your child enters the house. Let them get going. Let them take a break. Let them check maybe 10 of those WhatsApp messages. Because, after all, if your child's going to check 400 WhatsApp messages, the 400 kids who are actually sending them, your child's going to be in the same boat with them. So speed is influenced by a lot of factors that, believe it or not, you parents have control of. So what you want is consistency. This is a new year. Set the ground rules. You're going to have children objecting to them for about 21 days. Set the ground rules and stick to them. Because you want to travel at a consistent speed from now all the way to those CXCs. This is it. This is a Gold Cup. How many horses for the Gold Cup are out socializing in the 6 months running up to the Gold Cup? Really, it's, that's a rhetorical question. We all know the truth. We know the truth. You know what happens also when you exceed that speed limit. You get caught or you crash and burn. And it's the same with CXCs and CAPE and A-levels. If you try and take those shortcuts and you go too fast and you try those cramming lessons and you cram and you cram and you cram and your child has no time for independent study in which they're actually spending focused time thinking and doing something other than just reading over notes, which we know has no result whatsoever that's positive, you're going to crash and burn. So get your child into a good program with extra lessons teachers, if they need it, who are going to teach them how to think. Not how to repeat, how to think. CXC, A-level and CAPE expect critical analysis. That's nothing to do with repetition, it's to do with thinking. So let's look at distance as it's relative to speed. If you start too slowly with no revision, no studying, no spiraling back, you're going to have to speed up at some point to make up the distance. And that's where the panic is going to set in. What about those blind corners? Because you've got this distance to travel, right? Destination CXC, destination CAPE and A-level. You've got this distance to travel. Distance relative to speed. If you start too slowly and the kids say, oh, it's still 5 months away, 6 months away, I'll get my revision done. What happens when they hit a blind corner and they're slowed down even more? That distance that they had gained, be it small, has now been put back. What about when there are unexpected potholes? And as Barbadians, we know potholes really, really well. You can fall in one and you can meet pandas in China. So potholes are happening for everyone, and they're going to happen for your kids on the journey to CXC. What happens when there are roadblocks? What happens when they have to slow down? What happens when there's a tow truck picking up a car and there's just a line that they can't get through? What happens when there are diversions along the way? That distance, that goal is going to become even further away. So there's no such thing as the crow flies in the journey to exams. You've got that distance and you've got to hit a consistent speed. And then there's time. then there's time. And time is what's fixed. You can't change the fact you've got 52 hours. You can't change the fact that you're going to have bank holidays. You can't change the fact that you may have flood days. You can't change the fact your child might get sick. You can't change the fact that teachers may get sick themselves, yeah? So we've got 18 weeks, sounds like a lot. Each subject, let's say 50 hours. So the number of teacher-guided hours with revision, especially if you can't get that syllabus completed, is going to be reduced. In fact, it may be 0 hours that teachers have to revise with kids. Maybe 0 hours if they can't get through. Time is fixed. So you got to travel quickly and safely and sensibly. You got to cover the distance, and you need to cover it with time to spare, because there has to be contingency time along the way. Traveling too slowly, you're not going to cover the distance. There's not going to give you any time to spare, and possibly there's going to be incomplete preparation. You know, the most expensive thing that you can actually invest in this world, to me, is regret. Terrible thing to invest in. So this is all a matter of choice now. And the time you have to choose is right now in the present moment. You either got to pay now so you can play later, or you got to play now so that you can, and you'll pay later. But either way, you got to pay. So I'm not going to give you advice on parenting in my last 2 minutes. What I'm going to say is that teenagers are kids. Teenagers are children. Your 18-year-old is still a child. Their frontal lobes aren't fully developed. They're going to do what children do. They're going to live in fantasy land. They're going to enjoy their delusions and feel safe in them. And they're going to tweak them so that they become a statement of fact. They're going to task avoid. They're going to trust in their natural smarts so that they're going to get by. They're not going to believe that they need to sweat. And if all else fails, your child, your teenager, harbors the belief that you, the parent, are somehow going to bail them out. Somehow it's going to be okay because you're going to bail them out. And as my number 3 child told me all those years ago in all of her great 16-year-old wisdom, oh, mummy, what do you know? Ganelle, you laughing? 1 minute left, guys. And Ganelle is laughing. She's laughing at me. So sadly, those of us parents know that success, just like those of you who are racehorse owners know that success is spelled S-W-E-A-T. You got to sweat it. You got to sweat it. So how many hours do you study for A-levels? You got to study approximately 6 hours to 8 hours every subject every week. 1 hour at home for every hour at school. Don't just read notes, waste of time. CXC, half hour per night times each subject. So if you're doing 6 subjects, you got to be doing 3 hours at night. And that doesn't include homework. That's study. If you're doing 8 subjects, 4 hours a night. You know what? The Barbados scholars that I know, and I know quite a few, they were up working till 1, 2 in the morning. Yeah? And I know quite a few kids who actually didn't make those grade A's, and they were on their phones come 11. So there we have it. It's a choice. So what I will invite you to in the last 30 seconds of the show is next Monday, the 15th of January, from 3:30 until 5 at Lockerbie College, we're inviting parents. Please bring your kids who are doing CXCs or in 5th form or doing A-levels or doing CAPE. And if your kids need to have a wake-up call and be given skills in how to study, how to make these last 50 hours actually work for them, give us a call. Let us know you're coming. And you know what, parents? If you send your 16-year-old without you, who's the real power behind the child, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to work with them. You, the parent, have to accompany your CXC 16-year-old for your 16-year-old to be accepted there. The A-level and the CAPE kids we'll take on their own. But any of you parents, please get involved with your kid. It's only 6 months. Let's make this 6 months really, really matter, and we're here to help you. Give us a call, 435-3069, and we'll see you next Monday.